All right, everyone, welcome back to top 8. Today we are going to feature Azul playing a Wind Lightning Ninja deck versus Xavier piloting Soiree.
I think we just played Shinryu turn 1.
It does look like that's what we did.
We have
Xavier,
we don't have the deck list, huh?
not quite yet. The players were looking at it a moment ago, so they just finished looking at the decks. Xavier is naturally a relatively aggro gamer. A lot of people know him famous for playing the 6-drop Vaughn, where he flips a 3-drop off top of his deck. So this is not an abnormal start for Xavier, although it is an abnormal start for the deck, perhaps.
Now, I haven't played ninjas that much. Can ninjas do you get 9k 3 counters on edge to kill the Shinryu?
I don't know if we can do it that fast. But hey, we're gonna find out, right?
Oh, and looks like we just passed.
So let's see what we got. And forward. So it's a shrink.
Oh, that's very lucky. Drawing 2 is disastrous.
Yeah. Drawing 2 would have made that Shinryu 2-drop forward, right? Instead of a 5.
Yep.
So big diff.
And we just passed again. So no, I know Xavier's playing Soiree. He could have Mist Dragon Amaterasu in his hand.
Very true. You could also make the argument that Xavier just, we know Soiree, it happens. The deck is a,
Rainbow.
infinite color deck. So there is a chance that he just wasn't able to cast any other card in his hand.
Play edge. No. Oh, it looks like we have Theodore in his hand, so that can break a 4-drop or more too if we have enough to tap 14 characters.
Correct. And there it is. Just gonna tap those 3.
We have it. Oh, it looks like.
And he's asking to read it. We got a reader. But it's understandable. Theodore hasn't seen a whole lot of play. So it's the moment I think where we find out, does Xavier have the Amaterasu?
Yep. Oh man. If he has it, it's a disaster for Azul.
If he has it, I think Azul. Oh, he does not
have it. Okay, so and then end step we reactivate. Where's the combat we reactivate?
I think it's combat.
Okay, well we missed that reactivation. It looks like Xavier drew. Do you like to
go ahead and just
well they
we got
Toto. Okay.
Maybe not relevant.
Well,
it could have.
It could be relevant because he learns of it from featuring on.
Sure. Is it and it's mandatory?
Let's double check.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think we're like way past rewind.
Yeah.
Beginning of attack, activate all cap 4 full. So we did miss a trigger here.
We'll let White Mage know for future. We
can let him know in between game 1 and 2.
So it does look like he played the Mayana, grabbed another edge. Edge is a very good card, right? But I do think if I was Azul, I would be a little scared to run that card out at any moment in time, knowing that I play an Elvis.
Yep.
Although we have no Soiree out, it is very easy.
Yep. So this Amber is almost definitely going to grab Elvis to answer aggro because we don't necessarily need Shinju because we have Shantoto. Like we do want it, but if we're getting aggro down, we want Elvis more.
Yeah, we need the removal and the Shantoto already color fixes the deck. However, I think it really depends on what Azul does. The way I've seen Azul play this, he does typically play this a little slower. I don't think he typically plays it like a controlled ninja deck.
He's like, how many Elvis have we seen? Which is a very important question to ask. So, so when you're playing against Soirees, there's a lot of different variants that the Soiree player can play. One of the main variants is the water-based one. And what the water-based one gives you is it gives you a lot more EX burst. So you have Thornton, you have Remora, which is the other big one, which is basically kill a person and draw a card.
Yep.
And there's some additional synergies like Tidus can bounce Elvis, replay it, as well as Thornton being sacrificable by Susano, so you draw a card too.
Yep.
I think those are the main draws for playing the water version.
Yeah, it just adds an extra layer of consistency to the deck. And, EX Burst is one of those mechanics that has, been talked about a lot in this game. It is a mechanic that can be frustrating at times, but it's one of the few decks that builds around it without diluting the strategy of the deck too much, I think.
Right. And Thornton actually, ironically, adds consistency towards the deck because if you turn 1 break, we're playing Rainbow deck, you can at least Thornton for Amber or Shinju, right?
Correct. Yeah. And so right there, we saw him Zidane him. I think he pulled the Shinju out of hand. We're gonna go for some damage against the ninja deck. I think he's only at 2 right now. We saw he had a Thornton in hand, so let's see what if he top decked like a champ.
And we don't see very many EX person ninjas, right?
No, it's gonna be like Mayana, I think is the one that comes to mind. Fetching our ninja for us. Hooded Man, right? Is I think an EX.
Oh,
as well.
right. That one's very good too.
Yeah.
So it looks like we Kusith and just played a Shinju. So we played an expensive backup.
4 CP Shinju.
The thing is, when you play Soray, like you saw Xavier did a turn 1 Shantoto, or like not turn 1 Shantoto, but he paid 4 for Shantoto. Normally that feels really bad. But when you play Soray, you can basically count on getting 1 or 2 EX person later. And
Correct.
Madam Metal is like a 2-for-1. Vespi is a 2-for-1. So you're like recruiting value throughout the game anyway.
Yeah. I think the other thing, right, is that like the most important thing is getting the right jobs all in play.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
obviously,
there you go.
damage 1 Kusith. So it's kind of tough for other aggro / mid-range strats to fight against Soray because your strategy is still to attack to win.
Absolutely.
And when one deck has like 25 EX bursts and the other one doesn't, I'm favoring the one with 25 EX bursts.
Yeah, and that's why, like we said right earlier, Mono Wind likes the Soray matchup because it just doesn't have to attack until it's hit a point where it can just hit you for 7 all at once.
Right.
And say get good. But Xavier here hitting the Kusith, grabbing at that Elvis. Azul, very brave man, deciding he's still gonna run out that edge. It makes me wonder he's got to have some way to protect it, right? Knowing that Xavier just picked up the Elvis.
Right.
I know he does play Chocobo Summon in the deck. We're asking why discard Theodore.
Would you? So I guess right now there's 3 breakable targets, right? There's Shantoto, Thornton, or Madam Metal. Would you want a Theodore to break any of these?
Yeah, I think the tough part, right, is that breaking the Madam Edel, it's kind of expensive right now, and Madam Edel is a really, really good card for the Soiree player to recast.
Right.
We have seen Tuku Sith already, but that may be the first Madam Adele that he's seen. So it's a card that I would be nervous to kill.
Right. And then, obviously, doesn't seem like we're playing fire in our ninjas deck, so we don't want to let him replay Shantoto. And then Thornton draws a card, right? So
so none of the targets really feel particularly good.
Right.
So he's gonna go ahead and Elvis that edge. Let's see if Azul has the Chocobo.
Just kill it.
He's gonna go ahead and kill the Madam Adele in response. Maybe not kill it. He might have only had 2 counters on it. I think they hit for 3K apiece.
Okay.
Makes it so Madam Adele can't attack and put another point of damage on the board.
Okay. The good thing is Azul still has like 5 or 6 cards in hand as well as 4 back. So we're not like out of the game yet.
Yeah. I don't think either players. I think right now it's at this pretty even point in the game. Although the Soiree player is kind of at a point where they really want to be, where they've got 3 of the right job backup down. So now they can start getting those triggers off of their cards like the Vesvia, the Meryl, the Irwin. So they're at a point in the game where they're really happy now, especially considering the start.
So this is a strong play. Onion Knight says a card is unblockable. I think I forget if there's a number tied to it. But this lets us get 2 points of damage. We don't have to risk killing Madam Metal, letting Xavier play another one. And we can actually repeat this ability because Onion Knight can bounce himself to his hand to play it forward.
Yep. And maybe he had another Theodore in hand. Maybe he's going to put that Onion Knight back in hand and play a Theodore. Who knows?
And these are amazing hits. Like we lost 2 board clears. We lost the Susano board wipe and the Shadow Lord.
Shadow Lord being particularly good against the ninja player, right?
Right. It kills all forwards of 1 job and the standard unit job as well. So
yep.
You can name ninja and then kill all the standard units as well.
Yep. Ironically, Zidane being pretty close to a ninja thief doesn't quite die to the Shadow.
Can't have everything.
Yeah. Not always.
Okay, so this is the other draw to the water variant. You play Titus. You can pick up a backup and then choose a forward to return to hand.
Correct.
So we can choose Madam Metal to replay things from the bin, or we can bounce our opponents forward for more tempo.
Yep.
And then Elvis kills something on the way down again.
And it's interesting, right? Because it's 2 auto abilities. So it's an auto that creates another auto ability.
Right.
So let's see if Azul has a response. He's gonna go ahead and Fina, it looks like. So
That's a really strong play.
yeah, so he's stopping Xavier, because normally what you would do in this point as a soiree player is you just kind of would loop that, right?
Right.
So instead he's gonna go ahead and just Merald, kill that Onion Knight, and push for some damage, putting I think his opponent on 4 now.
And that's a very, very good of Azul to use the Fina on the first trigger of Tidus,
Correct.
because we don't want to like let him replay the Elvis anyways.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
good awareness.
It's just that is important, right? And Azul, like you said earlier, he's a pretty good player. He understands card interactions. So understanding it's an auto that creates an auto. So stop the first one before you hit that snowball effect.
That's kind of a knowledge check for some of the people who haven't played since the pandemic started. There's a lot more cards with autos that create autos.
Yep.
And kind of, even though Tidus is an old card, no one really played it.
Yeah.
Way back then. It was
Yeah.
like maybe played in Wind Water.
Yeah, it was definitely played in Wind Water, but I think that's about the only deck we really saw it on.
You won already. All right.
So
Looks like
we've got our first result from top 8. Alex Hancock's was taken down by our resident Bart's Boko player, Andrew Pringles. Congratulations to Andrew Pringles, representing Vegas well.
and he beat a world champion.
Yeah.
At least a former world champion.
Yeah, the first world champion, if I were correct, right? No, second, right?
Third, whatever.
That's a tough matchup.
It's a feat that I think many people will be proud of. He also, if I also may add, right, he beat Cloud. So we proved today that Bart's is just clearly the superior Final Fantasy character.
True.
That's why I put my name in. If Oki wins, he's against Oki, so free.
Yeah, unfortunately, Oki is on the same side of the bracket, and Mr. Cool is telling us how Mono is not a good matchup versus the Bart's Boko deck.
Yeah, it's an interesting bracket. So Matt is playing against Sharina, right? On Kingsglaive again. So we saw him take it down against Kingsglaive in top 16. So if he repeats that experience, then he gets to go against Bart's Boko. Bart's Boko already, Andrew already said that that's a favorable matchup for him. So it's going to be a rough ride if anybody wants to take down the Vegas Terror, Andrew Pringles.
Looks like Azul's playing this new Cecil card, which came from the dual starter. Not the most new one, but
Correct.
this is still a very underplayed card, you know?
Yeah, I think this is again one of those solid pop quiz moments. Can you tell us what that Cecil does?
I think if you duel 2 Cat 4 forwards, you duel any forward.
Correct.
And I know he has like an insane duel, like 6 steal AK or something.
It's duel 4.
Duel 4.
Yep.
Is there even one more insane than that?
No, I think.
Okay, it's just 2 lines of text.
Yeah.
I know he can pump, right?
Uh,
He can duel 1 and pump.
let's pull it up. I'm gonna pull
Pop
it up
quiz,
and find
bro.
out. You're pop quizzing me right now, so
I think as a
let's see. If you control 6 or more, then he gains. Then they gain 2K Brave, but yeah.
so he does have even more insane things.
Yeah.
And it looks like while we were discussing the merits and reading these cards, Azul has kind of popped off, played Theodore and Sukanoa, or this other ninja that is win and can reactivate stuff.
Yeah. Well, and this is an interesting deck, right? Because Theodore is going to reactivate all those cards at the start of combat, so you can just keep doing Cecil light
Oh
shenanigans.
yeah, it's very
Yeah.
This is a very cool. I haven't seen this is a ninja's build.
Yeah. It's a very interesting deck. I'm sure.
We need to call. Do we? Yeah, they need to react. Okay, they got cut. I think they missed the pseudo trigger again. Okay. Yeah, this is a cool ninja build. It's what I really like about this ninja build. Obviously, we have no deck hosts. Is it seems mostly mono win in the backups, and we saw him play Fina. So like we're not forced to play these like other colors to run a mono roster to protect their board. Like we
Yep.
still die to Toto. But I mean, there's a chance that there's these solo in the list as well.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that what he's doing here is he's basically just playing a category 4 tribal card, and it just so happens there's a lot of ninjas in Cat 4, right?
Yeah.
I know he's playing the new the ninja archer backup. I think that's on the board right now. He's got Rosa, Sid, Paul, and Dina. So a lot of interesting synergies, right, coming out of Azul's deck.
Right. And Xavier has to realize he might die in like one turn if this isn't answered. So is it Susano? Oh no, it's an Irwin.
So maybe he's peeping for a Fina before he Shadow Lords.
Okay, so here we see Typhon and Bismarck. Both really good
Strong cards right now.
Do we know what category Typhon is? I don't. Is he Cat 4?
No, he is cat 13, I believe.
13?
Yeah.
Should have known. 13 has all the good monsters.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the end step, this is like a really strong thing to do in MTG Limited. You know, dull your opponent's guy at their end step.
Yep.
And here, you know, we dull Irwin.
And we got the Theodore trigger at the beginning of combat. I think Azul might be taking game 1 here. It's gonna be rough.
We should theoretically be able to dull both Madam Edel and Maralt here, if we remember. Now notice it's a mandatory trigger, so we technically can't forget.
Yeah. That is correct.
Combo.
So
We
boom, we're
activate
gonna
all of
activate
it.
all our forwards, and we're gonna push for lethal.
Now, does it matter which order we attack? We have so many. I don't
I think you attack with Cecil first, just in case. But yeah, I think it's kind of a wrap.
Tyro.
Unless Xavier's got some sick, Bahamut Zero tech. I think we're gonna go to game 2 real quick here.
Now, we saw that Xavier played Shinryu turn 1. Do we
Yeah.
suspect that's because he kind of bricked a little bit, or was that you think that he thought that was a strategy? You know? There's no answers in wind.
Well, the cards he discarded for it, I think, were an indicator. I saw him discard an Elvis, I think, along with 2 other pretty low value cards. I don't remember what they were, but at the time, I'm gonna guess that he just didn't really have a strong opening hand or a strong opening line. While the players do shuffle up and prepare for the next round, I'm gonna go see if I can swipe some deck lists, because
Yeah,
these are gonna be some interesting ones to talk about.
Yeah. All right. So while Brian does that, we can kind of assume Xavier is going to go first. Generally, that's always the better play. Decks that have chosen to go second have been decks that have fought on a slightly different axis. Like there was the Neo Xeth wanted to guarantee it. There was the Loop deck that just wanted to drop backups. Generally, when my opponents go second, I suspect something fishy going on. But for most players, they want to go first. Okay, and Ghoul says Remora was one of the discards, so I think, yeah, that kind of confirms that Xavier kind of bricked a little bit. See if he can do better this time. All right, so it looks like Xavier mulligan again. Both moles from both players. Okay. You want to talk about first? We got the deck list.
I mean, I think a lot of players are probably at home familiar with Soiree, so maybe let's look at the ninja list a little bit.
Wait, this is a knowledge check on us.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I know Edge, right? That's the so Supernova is, I think, a 3 CP win ninja. If you ask me what the text other than that is,
I think it's reactivate.
I know it has something to do with that, but I don't
Reactivate
remember.
based on, I think it's pay 1, win CP, reactivate based on number of ninjas. Nope, that's incorrect.
Yeah, when it enters the field, choose up to the same number of characters you control as the number of ninjas, and you activate them. And if you pay 1 win, he cannot be blocked by a 4 to cost 5 or more. Surprise! I think Soiree plays a lot of 4 drops.
True. So Xavier played Tyro turn 1, which is generally not what you want to do. And then he grabbed Madam Edel.
Yep.
So this is kind of it might be a tell that he has another Soiree member, per se, Elvis, in his hand that, you know, that he can play for free.
Elvis, I think if you're gonna do something like that, another one it's pretty good is gonna be like an Irwin.
Irwin, yeah.
Pretty good.
Now,
But yeah,
this is not a good start from Azul either. There's no way we want to play Typhon turn 1.
correct. Especially against a deck that we know has a lot of.
Yep, and it looks like we have the Elvis and what do we take here?
He's taking the Meta Model, and I think that's because Xavier would have to dump his entire hand to cast the Shintoto, and you just bounce the Typhon back to your hand, right?
Right.
The Elvis is not particularly good because he doesn't have fire CP unless he taps Pyro, overpays for it. Again, not feeling good, and he doesn't have the
so
story.
would be back up to 7K.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Shinryu. So this is really strong. With 1 card in hand, the chances of Azul being able to answer this is pretty low, although it is the other Typhon, so he has a special, the Snort.
I think that, he has the Snort in hand.
That's kind of sick, actually. Okay. So the special, I believe, breaks or RFGs.
It RFGs.
Does it cost? It costs 6 or
It costs, yeah.
And then we got a reader.
Yeah, I think it's 2 wind and 1 colorless.
Right. And this is a card that most players would read because we're not used to seeing a Typhon like this.
Yeah. Now, if you're Azul, I mean, I'm greedy, so I think I'm attacking, but I'm scared to attack because there's not many ways to kill this Typhon here, but attacking is one of them, and EX Burst will answer that card.
Now,
But
these are the kinds of games that, like, when you test in paper, you kind of like, yeah, this game was whatever, dude. Both players had like such bad starts. But sometimes in tournament, you run into these situations, right?
yeah, absolutely.
And you have to play it out.
I agree. And I mean, and situations like that do come up, but I think that it is good to know and understand how to pilot out of those. So even when you do test it, sometimes it is important to, take those games and actually play them because
No
playing
matter,
from behind is important to know.
no matter how bad it feels.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to play. Whatever, you gotta do it. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
And sometimes you just, get lucky, right? And you hit the Q-sits and damage. But I think that is an Amaterasu on top of it.
So
Not
we
the card
hit
you want to see.
Noel and Hamas. So looks like Azul finally saw his first backup. Probably gonna be Edge. So going back to Azul's deck list, he's playing 3 of the Athena, which can cancel auto abilities.
Oh, he's playing another Sukanawa too. He's
Yeah.
playing both the Opus 3 also, which going back to Opus 3, I think that's the 1 cost, if I recall.
Unblockable
Yeah.
phase with Edge.
Yeah.
So there's a big emphasis on category 14 with this deck.
Category 4, right?
Sorry, category 4. Correct.
14 was the last round with
One more. What's a 1, dude? What's a 1?
anyways. And look, do you see anything interesting about Xavier's deck? Any interesting calls in the story? In the story we always say that there's like some decent flex spots. Is there any spice coming out of that boy's deck?
I think Noel, which we see in damage, is very spicy. It kind of when you get to higher points of damage, it helps you get back in the game, and you want to take damage in Sorace. And I see Shinri is kind of spicy. I feel like no one really plays that card.
Yep, he's got one of those in there. Something interesting. So Xavier just tried to kill the Typhon. Typhon has a 0 cost ability to bounce it back to hand. I like that card a lot. It sucks that we have the other Typhon with the name clash. That Typhon, it can actually do that continuously. It does not say once per turn. So there's actually not real way to answer that card other than an EX burst or damage or something that's zidane it out of your opponent's hand, right? Like,
And generally, the best way to beat this Typhon is just have a big board. 'Cause at the end of the day, it's only an 8K.
yeah, and recasting that card is going to be expensive, especially off of 1 backup.
Yeah, it's like you can be as fancy as you want. I have 3 black belts. How are you gonna beat me?
Yeah. And black belts, nonetheless, that can be pumped by Alexa backup, right?
True.
So
Okay, so
beefy boys.
they hit a backup. That's kind of sad. So I think if I were Xavier, I'd be kind of happy with how the game is now currently going. We have exactly four story members.
Yep. Going for the Irwin, gets this. And now, like,
Wait,
so,
we did not play Rosa?
so it's kind of interesting here. Xavier getting to peep at the hand. He's going to take that Typhon. He says, there's not a lot of ways I can answer this. I'm going to just take care of it right now. It's an annoying card.
I mean, okay,
Interesting
so
choice.
one thing too that Xavier is probably thinking about is there's not much great breaks on interaction in Wind Ninjas, right?
Yeah.
So that Typhon, the new Typhon, removes 2 characters. Is it 2 characters or 2 cards?
2 cards.
2 cards from your opponent's break zone. Recursion is very important for Sorace. Like
Yep.
Madame Edel interacts with the bin. You have Kusits. Some decks run Fisoya. Now Xavier's is not playing Fisoya. Oh, Xavier's also playing one of the Wind Cecils as well.
Oh,
the
interesting. Yeah, the tax protects your board, cheats in one of his forwards.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about his hand in that given moment, right, is that a lot of those cards with Cat 4, right? So it's hard because as much as like you want to take one of those cards because it does match a lot of synergies of his deck, there's another card that he plays, right? Hooded Man, who will get back any of those forwards, which is I think what he just cast.
Does Hooded Man say character or forward?
It does say forward. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we potentially could have taken Rosa there. I'm kind of interested to see why we didn't play Rosa as a backup. Western.
Yeah.
We just drew past. The reason why I think Rosa is potentially good is because it's a it's a Cat 4 character,
Mm-hmm.
but also a lot of our deck is even cost, right? So we generally always want to play on curve. For example, we didn't have to overpay for this edge here. Sorry, this hooded one.
Yeah. Maybe he doesn't mind playing on odd cost cards because his edge will reduce the cost of his cards by one, making like his backups one drops, things like that. He does discard the Rosa for the Typhon, so maybe Azul doesn't value the card as much as we do.
Right. So I think we saw a Mist Dragon remove the Theodore target.
He removed it in response to him casting the Hooded Man. Yeah.
That Theodore target might have been coming for Tyro.
Yeah.
I know that's a consideration of a lot of players nowadays. What backups to put in the deck, because Avalanche can heavily punish people who put all these 4 drops or higher.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, that was like the scary thing, right, with playing Mono Wind is that with a lot of the opening backups you want to see is the Mono Wind deck get punished by the Avalanche players. Wedge. Wedge is a good card. Who knew?
Wedge is a bully, man. It kind of also turned off Tyro. Everyone's like, Tyro. Remember a couple sets ago, everyone was like, Tyro is a very broken backup. Gets you the best card in your deck. It has EX. You couldn't really punish it, but now there's Wedge. There's the light Noctis is really good. It's a very aggressive card.
Yeah, I think that there's just more ways to punish it. It's also becoming more expensive, right? As the game has grown, we've seen other cards that just produce a lot of economy for players. So over time, Tyro has gotten to be less and less value, an expensive backup to play early. I mean, we saw Xavier had to play it in this game turn 1, and it just didn't feel very good.
Right. It's like you play Tyro, eventually you play forward, your opponent plays Robo Agbo guy. Next turn he's gonna get a backup back.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we attacked. We were brave. We dodged a burst. Excellent. Now we played Edge, got a ninja counter, and then played a 1 CP ninja.
He's gonna go ahead and Amaterasu that edge counter.
Huh.
And I think that's probably strong, right? Because
Okay,
we said
end step trigger.
Yep.
Corrected.
And I think that we said earlier, right? Edge is a solid card for the deck. That's how he wants to reduce the cost of all those cards. So I think I would be doing that any day of the week. So Xavier gonna put a lot of pressure. He played it Irwin, ripped the card out of the hand, played the Merrill, broke the Hooded Man. Typhon's not a forward yet. He's only on 2 win backups. If you're Azul, what do you top deck your way out of the situation with?
Well, we hit EX Yukiri here, which gets us any ninja.
So grabbing the edge, right?
I don't really know what we can draw to get out of here. I think we want to play backup to turn our Typhon into a forward.
Yeah.
The problem is Xavier has Lex on the board, so all of these are potentially 9Ks.
Very true. You could argue that maybe edge into a ninja backup, getting a counter on the edge.
We can trade.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Azul realizes he can't do anything to come back here.
Yeah, it's tough. So, all right. So, Azul picking up game 1 and Xavier picking up game 2. I think both were fairly convincing wins. So it's going to be an interesting game 3.
One thing I want to point out is I feel like Xavier has had suboptimal starts for.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to see like how this matchup is if Xavier also has a good start.
I agree. I think Xavier had pretty slow starts in game 1 and game 2. I think that in game 2 only Azul had the slower start, but we saw what the deck could do in game 1, right?
Right.
So it will be very interesting to see if Azul's deck is able to perform in the same way if Xavier is able to get a strong early economic start in game 3.
Yeah, I think Fire Azul, I'd be so scared if my opponent does turn 1 Amber Shinji, right? That's like the best start.
Now, a lot of people like to talk about how it's really strong to go Madame Adele, Amber, Shinju, right? Does Azul have a way to interact with that
I don't think
in its
he
opening hand?
does.
Do you do that if you're Xavier? I'm not sure that I'm as sold that that's like the highlight play, but a lot of people seem to really like that.
I'm so normally you kind of judge those plays based on like how aggressive you think your opponent's deck is versus your deck, right? I think whether you need the cards to clear, like Xavier has tons of board clear and interaction. Like, should I save cards to deal with the Azul's cards?
Yeah.
That's normally I would say Ninjas is not like Ninjas is a really fast deck and you should save your cards.
Yeah.
But I could also be wrong because there's not too many bursts here in the Ninja deck, and then when you play Soray, you can count on your own EXs, helping you out.
So not too bad of a start. Xavier going Shinju and into Vesvia. So he's gonna go ahead and draw one. So he is taking that aggro route that you just said, right? Ninja's not having a ton of super efficient removal early game. So he's gonna try and see if he can punish that.
Well, their edge is a very solid removal tool.
Yeah.
But he does require you to have a bunch of range.
Yep. Requires the right cards. Here we've got
Oh, that's not great.
Cecil. I mean,
Theodore.
So if you're in Azul shoes, why do you think you run out to Cecil there? Because it's a light card clogging your hand. Because I mean, it's kind of scary if you cast an Elvis, right?
I think, yeah, that's pretty scary. So I feel like I don't want to put words into Azul's thinking, but like, what if he like when you have cards in your hand and you can play on curve? I think traditionally the decision is to, hey, I should play out my cards because it's on curve.
Right.
And I think we might get punished because we're doing that.
Yeah, burning CP, leaving the floating Rosa always kind of feels bad, right?
Right.
So
I think it's okay now in the stage of FFTCG as a game to not perfectly play on curve because some of your cards are so powerful now.
Yeah,
that you can kind of catch up regardless.
I think in the matchup it's very difficult to gauge, right? Because Soiree does have a lot of very efficient removal tools. Like he can play a Merald or an Elvis. Obviously he didn't have enough to play a Merald off the bat, so he'd have to do a card into the Merald, like a Soiree member into the Merald. But Amber into Elvis is probably the cleanest and most efficient way to do it.
Right.
He's going to go ahead and pass with 3 backups untapped. I'm going to assume that he's probably just telling his opponent, I've got an Amaterasu, I've got a Mist Dragon, have fun, enjoy your turn. But
And he does play through your foe.
yeah.
So, yeah. What would you do for your Azul here? Would you try to build backups? I think you probably wouldn't want to play Edge or Theodore because of the 3 backups.
Correct. Yeah, I think I just try and curve out here, except that I'm going to damage 3 or 4 in order to improve my later game efficiencies. Xavier going to go ahead and Q Sith at the end of the turn, leaving up the fire CP. I think if I'm a Zul, that tells me that he's definitely got the Amaterasu.
Right. And that's kind of like a funny thing you can do to metagame your opponent too. Hey, I'm leaving this fire CP on top. Maybe he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Or you just tap the Earth stuff because you assume your opponent can't do anything with a modding anyways.
Correct. Very interesting line by Azul. So this is one of the reasons he put the ninja in the deck. He just broke the Shinju off of Xavier. Normally, if you have a Madame Adele in play, it kind of protects that. But if you don't, I think this is the opportune time to actually break that back up and really make it so Xavier can't play the cards that he wants to, like the Irwin, the Vesvia.
This Tyro is like insanely awkward now.
Yeah.
Like we used to have a perfect curve.
Correct.
Now I think if I was Xavier, like, man, I really want Mana Metal to play Shinju again.
Yep.
Irwin. Okay, we're keep being aggressive here.
Wow, so he must have had the ICP, right, to be able to cast that Irwin. So he had to have another Irwin
Did he?
again.
I can't tell. That's a good call. He pitched Elvis, right? I think that's an Elvis on top. You better run in there. Run, Brian, run. It looks like it probably looked like it was incorrect. There's a bunch of hand gesturing. The problem was there was an EX burst hit by Mana, so it's not super easily rewindable. So we're gonna wait for the judge to decide his ruling. And I'm personally not sure what the right thing to do is here.
Because if damage is taken, the experts just hit.
Yeah, Bismarck got discarded too. Good check, good catch. What do you think is gonna happen? I have no idea.
This is a very, very difficult one, right? I'm gonna go back inside in a minute here to figure it out, see what they do, so we can kind of report what the result's gonna be. But yeah, I think historically in the past, there's a, I don't know, there's a lot of information that Xavier got off that, right? He
Right.
got to see all of Azul's hand, got all that knowledge. It's really difficult.
'Cause, like, because let's be honest, Xavier was attacking no matter what. So that
Yeah,
EX
the
burst
first-
was gonna happen,
yeah,
right? Now, I think the biggest problem is the Irwin knowledge.
yeah, he saw all of Azul's hand.
Yeah.
How do you remedy that?
I have no idea. I'm not a judge.
You know, it'd be really nice if we could pull out the little stick from Men in Black and just like a blip Azul, blip Xavier quick, but I'm not sure.
Just what is it? Dig your deck for whatever 3 cards you want. I don't know.
So
Because Azul's hand was really good. It was Chocobo, Bismarck. Like,
Correct. So they're talking about it right now.
is this a game loss situation? Is this
I think it'd be brutal. I'm not sure if Xavier has any previous infractions throughout the tournament. It could be, right? Like it's
that's a tough call.
yeah.
And I think both players are gonna feel bad no matter what ruling happens, you know?
Yeah. It's
So to recap, Elvis, or sorry, the Irwin. Irwin was played without ICP being discarded because Xavier does not control a Shinju.
yeah. So it goes back to right. Azul basically used the ninja to break that Shinju, throwing Xavier off of being able to cast all these cards, and as a result, Sorori players are so used to having that Shinju in play, they just inherently cast that Irwin, knowing I've got it, no
Yep.
problem.
Yep.
And he didn't. So he got to the opportunity to look at Azul's hand, and now we're trying to figure out from a judge's standpoint, how do we remedy Xavier gaining the knowledge of looking at Azul's hand, because he can now play around all those cards for the remainder of the game.
Yeah, it's
And it's a
Chocobo.
huge advantage.
That's pretty unfair, to be honest.
Yeah. Someone saying that, you know, it's not worthy of a game loss. I don't know. We're gonna find out what White Mage says. He's our head judge for the day, so he's gonna go ahead and make the ruling. I trust his decision making. It's a difficult call, right? Because this game is, you know, how do you correct this? Just that knowledge gained is so powerful.
Right. Okay.
It's not so much it's not so much the
wrong payment.
wrong payment.
the
It's
hand knowledge.
the knowledge that makes the game very difficult to continue.
Yeah. Did he get a restart warning and restart the game? I don't think that I'm not a rules expert, so I don't know.
I don't think that
think
you
so, but-
yeah, I don't think you could do that.
Who?
Ryan. Cool. All right. Ryan is being called in by White Mage. I think they're gonna go ahead and talk it out. Again, White Mage being the head judge, but this is a very difficult call. I think he wants to go back over, you know, make sure we understand everything that happened, everything that we saw, play by play, walk through it from the camera perspective, and try and come up with a ruling that is fair. Really, ultimately, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing, maintain the integrity of the tournament, and you know, maintain accurate board state. So it's a tough one. You know, as someone asked, why wasn't there a judge watching the match? So it's pretty funny. White Mage actually is the table judge, but he got pulled away, I think, for another ruling for about a half a minute. And during that time is exactly when this happened. So it's you know, White Mage, as soon as he came back, he said, you know, guys, I was away for 30 seconds. Come on. But yeah, I think you know, Eureka, you're all right. You know, White Mage is a head judge. It's his event. He's done a great job this weekend. I'm sure any decision that he makes will be ultimately fair. Yeah, act of God. It's what we call it, right? I think Murphy's Law. What can go wrong absolutely will go wrong, right? A lot of things had to line up there for that moment to happen. So now, and you know, I think I know both these players fairly well. Xavier's a local of mine. You know, it's very difficult. He's a very competent player, very good player, aggro player. A lot of players know him pretty well, competing in a lot of online events, a lot of online tournaments. Azul been around the game for a long time. I think he's a California Petite Cup champion. Had a long, strong showings in some of the California circuits back in the day. And had some really strong showings in some of the Crystal Cups topping events. So both players very good, very familiar with the cards. You know, so we'll see what happens here. It looks like they're starting to kind of puzzle piece this back together. And we'll see what the ultimate ruling is. A lot of cards are, you know, this Elvis kind of keeps getting shifted around the table. Do also feel, you know, for Xavier, Xavier hasn't had a lot of opportunities to compete in some larger events. So this is, again, one of the few that he's managed to make it into the top cut. You know, I'm sure right now he's pleading his case to the judge, but yeah, I agree. The game, it's very difficult at this point to kind of continue and rewind, just knowing that gaining all the hand knowledge really from Xavier. For the rest of the game, he can play around cards like the 2 CP Chocobo.
Okay. Breaking
right.
news.
All right, it looks like Viridian Ryan Chen came back, and we may have what the actual official ruling is, and let's see how we're going to go forward.
So I think the official ruling is Xavier had another ice card. So he had another Irwin in. So they're just gonna fix it how he paid for it. And I think the game's just gonna go on.
So Xavier had the ability to properly cast the Irwin. Since Irwin was an illegal action, they'd have to rewind it to that point in the game. Although he did have the ice card, he can continue and make that same play. The game would continue from that same exact point. Interesting.
Now that's what I was told, and it doesn't look like it's been fixed yet. But
yeah.
I don't think it should be a game loss though. Wait, okay. Now
I think it's a pretty harsh ruling for a game loss.
Why are we throwing away Elvis? Okay, now White Mage is like, do you have an ice card in your hand?
There's also the argument maybe he has a Shinju in hand. He could have just cast Shinju then Irwin. I'm not sure, you know.
So the thing is, it's also on Azul to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's on both players' responsibility.
Yeah.
Can't let him discard you for free.
I do agree. It's one of those things where, you know, a lot of players, oftentimes we want to point out the infraction of Xavier, but it is at all times both players' responsibility to maintain an accurate board state. If a warning is handed out, it does go to both players.
Right.
Because Azul equally made as much of a mistake as Xavier. He broke the Shinju for a reason.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he did punish Xavier for it, right? Like,
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I feel like the attack should go through no matter what,
yeah.
but looks like there's more gesturing. I feel like if he actually had an ice card, this would be way simpler to fix.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I mean, this is an interesting moment. I mean, I don't know. You asked me, right? What do you think White Mage ultimately rules here? I mean, assuming he doesn't have the ice card or a way to cast that Irwin.
I think Irwin should just go back to hand. The damage should go through.
Mm-hmm.
Warning to both players.
because there's no real way to remedy that
Yeah.
knowledge of the hand.
Yeah,
And I think game loss is too severe of a punishment.
right. And it was both players' responsibility, anyways.
I agree.
So I think that's the best situation. But that's just me. I'm not a judge, obviously.
Yeah, I love my boys, but I know I'm gonna be knocking some kids upside the head for making this
No,
play.
these are
Hey,
your locals, bro. For what's worth, this has never happened at my locals before, We are like the perfect players in Seattle.
While I would agree with you, I think the last time we had a major event in Seattle, didn't a Californian take it down?
Do you also have a judge call on you in there too?
No, I don't think I did. But
Okay. Looks like
yeah,
okay. Looks like we're okay. We're probably going with
Yeah.
with what I said. It looks like we're taking
Whatever
back
you
the
want.
thing, so we can't actually cast it. So whatever.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see. I think they just rewound.
Yeah. I mean, I can just pop my head in and kind of what the ultimate ruling was. I think it would be interesting for the players at home to know. It's a pretty
It's a thing that happens,
yeah, it's an important call. I'll be right back.
It looks like we did go with the exactly what we said was gonna happen. Okay. Looks like we just did the rewind, right?
Thing. Okay.
All right. So Brian here has the details.
So basically, what the ultimate decision was that during his turn, what he chose to do was cast the Irwin. The Irwin was an illegal card to cast. He would have attacked during his turn, so we chose for the attack to go through because that was an EX burst. Knowledge again already gained, so he chose to maintain the attack. However, what the judge ruled was they rewound to the point where the Irwin was played, and they did not allow him to take another action that turn. Trying to kind of combat some of the knowledge gained from Azul with a little bit of loss in progress of the board state for Xavier.
And that's just a real tough call to make.
Yeah.
It's really tough. So we'll have to move on. Like that's just part of. Sometimes these things happen.
Yeah. And we have seen calls like that, I think, similar at some of the events from Hobby Japan, where an illegal action was taken, no other action was taken that turn, and that's how Hobby Japan has ruled some similar incidents. I remember from some of the previous events. So I think White Mage kind of trying to draw from his knowledge bank a little bit. But
Yeah, precedents.
yeah, but it's tough because again, I think someone said it in chat like Rice, right? How do you can't punish knowledge?
Can I imagine this would probably be a question that is going to be asked on Twitter
Yeah.
after this weekend. All right. So looks like we cast Tyro. And I know for sure we can pay for Tyro because we tapped her.
Yes. You know what the nice thing about Tyro is?
That's shiny color.
Yeah, it produces ICP.
Also, fun fact, he's also the only character of that category, right?
Yeah.
Which is a trivia question, but I still don't know what category it is.
It's the recorder, right? But I don't. That's his job. I think his job's recorder. But oh man, I don't know the category either.
This was a trivia question, actually. Tyro is the
Record
only.
keeper. There you go. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
FFRK. Jeff got it. Only character that's FFRK in the game.
But I believe he is the recorder. That's his job, I think, right? Am I right?
I don't know about that either,
Whatever.
bro. He said EX burst.
His job is EX.
Yeah, his job is give me an extra card, turn like damage one, every
Yeah.
time. Okay. So it looks like we played Tyro and we passed. This is kind of tricky. This is a not necessarily like Cecil is a card that while he doesn't generate real value, he still generates value on the board.
Yeah.
And as the more Cat 4 characters you have, the better he is.
Well, and the thing is, he has at least the Rosa backup, right? And Cecil. So he's already got the two.
Dull.
Yep.
Theodore or Hooded Man would be really good here.
Yeah, break that Tyro, make it so it can't make ICP anymore, right?
Oh.
Which I believe he did get
Oh.
the Theodore off that Hooded Man, right? Like off the expert.
Yeah.
So
Kill.
go ahead and tap.
Oh.
Now he's gonna break that. He's gonna go to
Untap two.
combat, activate.
Sheesh. And it looks like we have
There
a
we go.
Bismarck in hand still. We have a Bismarck and we still have the Chocobo, I presume. We're attacking. Okay, so this is a brave attack. Yep.
You know, I'm probably gonna get back to Shinju here, I'd imagine. Yeah.
So Xavier, I think, showed us that he was this the same game where he has a Shantoto in hand? From the Zidane? Or was that like the last game?
You know, I don't recall. I wish.
Mm.
A lot happened over
Yeah,
it. A lot of time has
true.
passed.
Okay.
Oh, someone in chat said this game. He
This
does
game.
have the Shintoto.
Okay. So we probably hold one more turn to play on curve.
Yeah, I think as the Soiree gamer, you're fine with going to damage 3. You could hit an EX burst. It also turns on your Axe Star. I'm totally content with it.
Now for Azul, I'd troll him again, bro. Let's break Shinju again. I think we have another Archer.
He
Vince.
does. He absolutely does.
Oh, we legally Irwinning here. Oh, someone said that in chat, not me. I'm not.
We promise.
Okay, Bismarck. Okay. So who do you think is actually winning right now? This is a
It's a
interesting
very
board state.
exciting. Yeah. So I would say it looks like Azul, right? You know, he's got some category 4 characters already out, but you know, one thing that he hasn't done is he hasn't attacked Xavier very much.
Oh, we hit a second Hooded Man, I think. But I don't think we have a target. Oh, we do have a target. Oh, we hit a second Hooded Man EX.
Yeah, wow. And that's that ninja is the fire one that deals, I believe, damage based on the number of ninjas you control.
Dang.
Yeah.
So he can actually double, like if he plays one more Cat 4 forward or backup that somehow activates, like he can kill both Irwin and Nesvia.
Yeah, maybe like a ninja into something like a into that ninja, or like an edge into that ninja he just grabbed back from the break zone. It'd give him 4. That forward would enter, kill one of the Soiree members.
I think what I want to see here the most is probably Edge.
Yeah,
Edge is the perfect card, dude.
I do agree. I think the scary thing about playing that is if this is the game where we saw that Shintoto, which someone said in chat it is, we're playing right into that, right?
Okay, so it looks like we're just tapping to dull.
And we're gonna go ahead and apply some pressure.
So we're not AKing it. Shinu?
I think he's only got 3 category 4 cards in play, so he's not gonna AK anything.
Okay, so we can't cast, like we can't do anything.
Yeah. But we do want to abuse those free Theodore triggers.
Dodging burst like a pro.
Yep.
Bobbing and weaving. So I think we should kill Shinju here. I would definitely kill Shinju here.
Yeah, I think if you have an edge, maybe paying 3. Okay, Sid Paladina probably going to go ahead and grab that edge.
And then we can break our 2 win backups. Oh, we're getting Hooded Man.
Oh, interesting. Maybe he knows there's only one left in the deck and he wants to fetch it. He also could have one in the bin, an edge in the bin already. He also is leaving 3 backups open. Maybe he just wants to tap 3 and break that ninja and, you know, say have a nice day, Shinju.
Hooded Man also lets you untap your Theodore and your Cecil and have Roswell. So you could AK or double duel.
Yeah. Well,
It kind of plays into Shantoto though, which is what about that line.
I think that's the scary thing for me as well. Yeah.
I think he's considering playing it. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it does get the untapped, so he would be able to start killing forwards. I think he's
Oh,
discarding 2 for that hooded man, maybe grabbing back the an edge that was killed earlier.
no, we're still grabbing this, huh?
Oh, he may not have the edge yet. Apologies.
Oh,
Oh,
he's
Miss Dragon.
casting Miss Dragon. Okay, sure. So here we have two options here. We can pass, or we can use the ninja. I think I would definitely use the ninja here.
I think so too. I think it's worth it. Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and do it. Yeah.
And he's leaving up 4 FF4 characters. So he can do an AK here.
Yep. He's leaving up the Rosa, leaving up the in Hooded Man untaps the 2 forwards at the end phase. So
we could have played Zidane here as an alternate line and try to see Xavier's hand, see if he has a board wipe. Here I think we're just trying to fight through it.
yeah. I mean, right now, if you're Xavier, you've got 2 forwards on the board, and it's 2 forwards you really do want to recur. Shintodoing just feels really bad. I think you might just go to combat, see what Azul does.
See, I think if I were Azul here, before going into combat, I would dull.
Yeah.
So he can't do damage.
Well, I agree. Yeah.
I would not AK because I don't want Xavier to replay these forwards.
Yep. I don't want him to replay him. Also, if you AK one of them, now feels better Shintodoing, right? 3-1.
Exactly. And because the bin is so important for ReRaise, if you're Shantoting, you're also RGing these forwards, right? And it looks like, oh, we're getting punished.
So we're gonna go ahead and cast
Oh, we're not getting
Madame Adele, and we're gonna get back. I assume that Vesvia.
For some reason, I thought he had 3 backups still, but it's been ninja'd away.
Yep. Going for the draw 2.
See, I wonder what Xavier's play would have been if Azul had dueled both forwards.
Yeah, well, he decided not to continue in combat, assuming, I guess, he doesn't want to trade, his Irwin and his Vesvia for that Cecil, right? 2 for 1 does not feel particularly good. And so here at the end phase, I'm assuming Azul is going to go ahead and just dull down one of those soiree members. So when it comes back to him, he can probably AK that Madame Adele. Because when he goes to the combat, Theodore will reactivate, Hooded Man at end phase will reactivate.
Oh,
Titus. Titus going to go ahead and bounce that Elvis.
he has to have a fire code in his hand to replay the Elvis.
Very true.
This is a very kind of risky play from Xavier. He's really fighting for the board. And, I think Azul's at damage 3, but it's a little hard to tell with our view.
Yep. So Xavier going to go ahead and choose to bounce one of those for one of the, I think it's the
Hooded Man. And did he realize that he can't play Elvis again?
Yeah.
I think he realized. I think he forgot.
Yeah, he may have.
And then it looked like he was about ready to slam it, and then he's like,
Yep.
Rough ones. Yeah, can you get us? Yeah. Okay. If I'm Azul, I'm feeling very comfortable with where I am.
Yeah.
And I see he has an edge. That's another Cat 4 character. That's 5 Cat 4 characters on the board.
Well, he bounced one to hand, right? Or he's got the Sleep Paladina. I forgot about that last turn. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think ultimately Azul getting rewarded here for doubling down and breaking that Shinju, right? Like,
Right. We did it twice.
Yeah. Strong. I mean, it's a strong call, right? Strong. Again, we talked about it in the Marks Boko deck, right? Strong meta calls this weekend.
Right. And this is really strong because if we get 4 Cat 4 forwards, we have 2 activations. We have the Theodore and the Hooded Man at the end of the turn. That's 2 AKs.
I think we're going to be eating some forwards, is what they say, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. So this is assuming pre-combat.
Yep. Maybe he just wants to go ahead and clear off Xavier's board. Because if he answers all of these forwards here, at the very least, if he answers all of the
oh wow, he discarded a Pheno. That kind of implies that he I don't know. Doesn't.
Maybe he just feels so confident in his given board state. I mean, if he answers all of the soiree members here, Xavier doesn't really have a leg to stand on, right? Like his
Oh.
Elvis isn't going to be hitting for much damage.
Okay, so we went combat here. So the decision was made to actually do more damage, I think.
Hmm.
Okay. This is
Well,
kind of
his
risky, to
forwards-
be honest.
His forwards have brave.
Right,
of
because
the
6
cat-
CP.
Yeah,
This is very brave, though, anyway.
it's going to go ahead and chump block. I think here I might just honestly pause and kill. Yeah, kill that Vesvia.
Would you kill it? Okay, kill
Oh, he's
Thetis.
killing
Yeah, I
Thetis?
would not kill it. I'll leave it alive. Now
I
we
mean-
go to end step. We reactivate all our guys.
I mean, if you kill the Vesvia, right, he has to have water CP to either recast one or he has to have.
Oh shit!
Shentoto.
Yeah. Now here, I don't think we definitely do not want to kill Vespia. We don't want to give.
Yeah, but I think Cecil can kill one of your own forwards, right? So Cecil is just going to kill one of his own that he controls.
Right. Now, ironically, I don't think it matters because we've seen every hooded man.
Yeah.
So Azul's best draw here is another Theodore. Theodore breaking Shantoto here is pretty backbreaking.
I would agree with that. So there is a
Okay,
tap 3,
Bismarck.
and Xavier did
Maida.
have to dump his entire hand for that, right? So like, Azul's in a pretty commanding state. He's already got Xavier at 4 damage. I think they're pretty even on damage, but I mean, Xavier's just curved out. He's at 5 backups now with cards in hand. Xavier's gonna be in top deck mode. Nice that he does have a Shantoto to color fix the rest of his deck, but
Yeah, I think the only thing I would have liked seeing from Azul here was tapping 2 to play the edge.
Yeah.
Instead of pitching the Fina.
I do agree that that would have been probably pretty.
Because we basically saved a card, and the card we saved is one of the. That stops Mana Metal from resurrecting forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, tapping those 2 is the equivalent of tapping and going to combat is the
Right.
equivalent of tapping that Rosa, right?
Yeah.
'Cause the edge is another cat 4 forward.
So we basically lost 2 CP there. Now we'll see if that comes back to haunt us.
Oh, there is that Theodore.
Theodore here. Amat. Oh no, Amat.
Wow.
We are in a little bit of a trouble here.
He's gonna go to combat, reactivate. Man.
Yeah.
So how does Xavier call out of this, right? Like, does he have to?
Well, I
what
think he
cards you can see?
wants 2 EX bursts in his damage zone.
Yeah.
First of all.
Step 1.
And then I think he wants to play Shinju into elbows, probably.
Yeah.
He needs Shinju down again. We need to rebuild here and hope that EX burst bail us out. Oh, that is a expensive Slord.
Wow.
Does he have Fina here? No, lets it die.
Okay. So yeah, that Shadow Lord is kind of a feels bad, but I think Xavier just has probably got Azul on enough damage to where he knows that he has to close out the game. If he isn't close out the game in the next few turns, he's just going to get outvalued because he'll be burning his wheels trying to curve out again while Azul's getting to actually just play a regular game of Final Fantasy.
And we were kind of joking that Sorays mostly has a what do you call it? Four drops?
Yeah.
But the new Tsukunawa, like they're all unblockable, right?
Yeah.
Can't be blocked.
Well, I think the new Sukanawa says pay 1 wind, right? And
5 drops or something.
5 drops cannot block him, I believe.
And
Or is it all?
one thing about Xavier too, is he's definitely drawn way more and searched way more in his deck. So if this does go down to decking, I think he's losing the deck race because he did Amber, he did Vesvia twice,
Correct.
and he took 4 damage.
Yeah.
And he Tyro. Wait, did he Tyro? No, I don't think he Tyro.
He did cast a Tyro. We broke it.
Did we break it?
A lot of backups have been
A
broke.
lot of backups have died.
You know, I wonder if this is more of a backup destruction deck as opposed to a Cat 4 deck at this point. With Theodore and the ninjas, man.
So we're playing Tsukinawa. This gets in for a point of damage. Unblockable.
Correct. It's got haste. So I mean, he's presenting lethal.
It's not lethal this turn.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Nice.
The shadow.
That's not a burst. Step 1 of the plan, hit 2 bursts. This
Yeah. But he's on a clock now, right? That's that forward. There's not a lot of cards that can block that in Xavier's deck.
Does Xavier have no cards? I think Xavier might just be okay. So
I think he's top decking.
so Shadow Lord is now a 10k Dark Forward because of the damage 5 text.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens here. I imagine Azul probably has a way to take game because Edge looks like he has 2 Shriek encounters, right?
He does. Any ninja, I think, kind of will win the game for him, even though it won't kill. The shrieking counters won't kill, but you know,
A
shrieking counter, but with a trade, yeah. So let's see what Azul. I mean, let's see what Azul does here. He might also be scared. I mean, Xavier is only on damage 5, so if he does try to push like that really aggressively, he could get punished with an EX burst.
So I think we're presenting the Yugiri trade. We're like, do you want to trade?
Yeah,
I think we eventually do have to take a trade.
yeah.
It's just a matter of when. Okay.
We're going to 6, and
Now
now
we're just done.
unblockable,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, Xavier's calling it. I think he knows.
Bump.
Rough.
That was a very well played game by Azul.
Yeah, very well played game. Very interesting deck. You know, I do like this kind of stuff, right? It's interesting because we're so close to the next set, and seeing some innovation come out of this set. I mean, a lot of people really thought, you know, we had seen everything, right? We had seen the, you know, the soiree and mono wind, avalanche. So we had seen, you know, the peak of the set, and Azul showing us that there's more that this opus had to offer.
Now let's not take away from the players. And I know KP has a friend from Kansas or from his friend group that's been grinding ninjas for a lot of these years.
Wow.
Can't remember her. I think it's her name, but she did well in she day 2'd in Canada.
Oh,
And there's been a couple ninjas
Amethyst, right?
Amethyst.
Yeah, Amethyst. Yeah. So Amethyst and Mike Powell, I think, have been traveling a lot to some of these events, and yeah, Amethyst has been playing ninjas. Do you know if it's a list similar to this?
I have no idea, but I think I mean ninjas is not an unknown. Like it's definitely like I think it's done well in Japan. There's been a couple you know, if you're adventurous, you go on Google Translate to get on the Square Enix website or the Hobby Japan website or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, very well played by both players. You know, barring the unfortunate. You know.
Yeah. You know, and it's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we make mistakes. Azul still pushed past it, and even with the knowledge Xavier had, he was still able to close that game out. So
right,
kudos to him, right?
Yeah. And he told me before I requested this more unique deck to go on. She was like, "I've never won on stream before. I'm cursed. We've broken the curse."
Yeah. All right. Sorry, guys. We were trying to save y'all's ears. There was we're pretty near one of the Camp Pendleton, I think. So there was a jet flying overhead, and it was definitely roaring. So any of y'all wearing headphones at home, we were trying to save you from nearing some hearing aids in the near future.
All right. So let's see if we can get some results.
Okay, so where we're at right now is we've got 3 out of 4 of our matches concluded. Matt was able to take it down over Sharina. Azul, we saw on stream take it down over Xavier, and Andrew was able to defeat Alex Hancock. So we've got Kelly on Avalanche still playing against.
Kelly is on Soiree.
Oh, sorry, Kelly on Soiree still playing against Chris Neal on Avalanche. So we've got someone kind of going in and peeping in on that matchup for us. From what I understand, Kelly does look in a favorable position right now, but we'll see where it goes.
And we don't know what game number or anything like that. All right, so we're on game 3 turns because we hit the time. And apparently we were told that there were stacked boards on both sides.
Yeah. So what it sounds like, it's going to be a very tight next few minutes. Players, again, both in a very tight situation. Chris is very familiar with this process. So we saw him go to turns yesterday against Matt. This is a moment where it's good to take a step back and think about the end result. Both players having very strong boards. White Mage going over procedures. Maybe for the players at home, let's go over it. In Top Cut, right? What happens when you're in turns? So first things first, each player gets 2 turns starting 0, 1, 2, 3, right? At the end of 3 turns, we have, if there's no winner decided, then it goes to most damage dealt. If the both players are at the same amount of damage, it goes to sudden death. Next damage dealt wins, correct?
So you were talking very confidently, and I actually don't know.
Well, I can tell you that I'm pretty sure that that's correct because that's how we
Right.
fairly confident. But we'll see what happens here. You know, it's an interesting predicament for both players to be in. Both very veteran players, both very familiar with the game. I'm sure they're very familiar with the turns process. So, you know,
And once again, both SoCal players.
both SoCal, you know, it's makes sense that we're gonna have a lot of SoCal players, I think, in Top Cut, right? Because we're in a SoCal event, so the numbers are stacked in our favor. A lot of local resident strong showings.
And historically, California has been a very strong region. A lot of players going to Nats.
Yep.
One of them back when pre-pandemic, a lot of the LQs here were some of the most stacked ones in terms of like number of entrants too. They were basically mini Crystal Cups. One day.
Some of them, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really nice to see a lot of players come out of the retirement too. There's some players that I know that said, hey, you know, I'm not really playing for a lot of Final Fantasy these days. And so this gave them an excuse to kind of come out and see the friends and see some people I haven't seen in some of them a year or two, even, you know. But so it is nice. I think this has been a fun weekend of cards. You know, a lot of friendly faces. I'll be sad once it's over.
Yep.